Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
The Belize Prime Minister hints he's stepping down soon. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Wednesday, May 3. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. Belizean leader Dean Barrow has given the biggest hint yet of his intention to step down as head of government, and it came as he addressed the country's business community. Speaking at the annual general meeting of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the 66-year-old Barrow, who led the United Democratic Party into a third consecutive victory at the polls in 2015, said it would be his last opportunity to address that annual gathering, and he expressed thanks to the body for its constructive relationship and support.
Since this will be my last opportunity to address your annual gathering, I close by saying how thankful I am for what has, in the main, been a constructive relationship with the Chamber. Also, on an individual level, many of you have offered me personal support over these years. Naturally, I am particularly grateful for that. When the chroniclers look back at the post-2008 economic period, my hope for their narrative is simple, that it will show that a stable business environment prevailed, largely free of rampant cronyism and secret contracts, that my administration was bold without gambling on the public purse, and that we struck a reasonable balance between rewarding entrepreneurship on the one hand and protecting society's disadvantaged on the other.
Barrow has been Prime Minister since 2008. He previously served as Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs from 1993 to 1998 and was Opposition Leader from 1998 until the UDP won the 2008 general election. Elections are not constitutionally due in Belize until 2020. Former Governor of the Barbados Central Bank, Dr. Delisle Worrell, is advising government to seek assistance from the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, without delay. Dr. Worrell was dismissed in February, but on Tuesday, he issued the first of what is expected to be a series of economic letters in which he gave advice on how the Democratic Labour Party administration should proceed in a bid to safeguard the Barbados dollar. He said the IMF could assist government in designing a reform process to increase efficiency through the employment of higher levels of skill and appropriate use of new technology. The ex-governor said an essential element of that reform would be providing adequate separation packages for public servants whose services are no longer needed so that they can make a smooth transition to the next phase of their lives. He insisted that reducing the number of people employed in the public service is inevitable since the current wage bill cannot be managed without further borrowing from the central bank. That advice aligns squarely with that given by former Prime Minister Owen Arthur and other leading economists months ago when Dr. Worrell was still at the helm of the country's monetary authority. But government is adamant that it will not go the IMF route at this time. There's no word yet on whether Trinidad and Tobago will have to pay for cleanup efforts in Venezuela following a spill from a tank at state-owned oil company Petrotrin a week ago. Oil washed ashore in Venezuela on Sunday, and a bilateral protocol sees the Spanish-speaking nation taking responsibility for cleaning up the effects on its side of the border. But Energy Minister Franklin Can says it's too early to say who will have to foot the bill for that.
On April 30th, we were informed by PDVSA that oil had reached the eastern Venezuelan coastline in the vicinity of Guerrilla.
But it's not until all cleanup work is done in Venezuela will this country know if taxpayers will stand the cost for Petrotron's oil spill reaching that country.
But as you cross the international border and goes into Venezuelan water, under the protocol they accept full responsibility for the cleanup, after which joint negotiations will take place as to what costs we will stand and what costs they will stand, if any. It's too early to say, but there are clear protocols as to who will stand the cost in incidents like this. Let the whole situation reach its natural conclusion. But as we speak, the Venezuelan authority are in full control of the cleanup on their side of the border. And after that, we will deal with liabilities.
Answering questions posed by opposition Senator Wade Mark, Minister Khan admitted a main challenge at Petrotron continues to be asset integrity. A 2003 tank assessment report identified 7 high-risk tanks. Number 70, the one responsible for this latest incident leaking 300 barrels into the Gulf of Paria, was included in that 14-year-old report. And the minister says last year a contract was awarded for the cleaning and inspection of these tanks at the refinery.
As we speak, the cleaning of two crude oil tanks are in progress. These are tanks 182 and 183. This contract spans a 3-year period where it is hoped that we will clean and inspect and perform remedial work on 2 tanks per annum.
He assures ongoing risk analysis that identify other at-risk tanks will see them added to the list of those in need of urgent repair.
Meantime, the Guyana government will later this month conduct a high-level economic feasibility study of investing in an oil refinery locally. Natural Resources Minister Raphael Trotman said a foreign consultant will be on board. In January, the government announced that it had retained the services of Pedro As, Director of Advisory Services at the U.S.-based Hartree Partners, a merchant commodities firm specializing in energy and its associate industries. The government has budgeted an estimated $10 million Guyana dollars for the review of the feasibility of the oil refinery. The St. Kitts and Nevis government is denying a report that it is harboring a Chinese fugitive. A regional media report stated that the authorities in the Twin Island Federation were harboring the individual who is wanted by international police Interpol. But the Timothy Harris-led administration issued a statement that the Chinese national referred to in the report became a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis since September 2013 under the Denzel Douglas administration. And by virtue of his citizenship, he is entitled to due process under the Constitution. The statement also pointed out that there is no extradition agreement between mainland China and St. Kitts and Nevis, and Chinese authorities have made no formal request to the government in the matter. According to the statement, local authorities are carrying out investigations to find out if there has been a breach of the laws of St. Kitts and Nevis. It said there is an established legal framework for dealing with the return of fugitives and the extradition of citizens, and everything must be done in accordance with the law. The Grenada government is being called on to ensure that former employees of the collapsed CLECO and British American insurance company BICO are compensated. The call was made by President of the Commercial and Industrial Workers Union, George Mason, during Monday's May Day celebration. We get more in this report from Akeisha Felix of GBN News.
Years following the collapse of insurance giant CLECO in 2009, President of the Commercial and Industrial Workers Union, George Mason, says those still affected continue to be disregarded by the government. Speaking during Monday's May Day celebration, Mason says justice can only be served when those responsible are held accountable.
To add insult to injury, they do not know when they will be given some good news about their money. Instead, no one has been brought to justice for this. But elsewhere, Maddox and Allen Stanford are jailed. But here, no one was even arrested for the collapse of CLECO. Honorable Minister, I'm looking at you. And watch me. Please use your good office to bring justice to the perpetrators and money into the pockets of those who are victims of this crime of the century.
Labour Minister Oliver Joseph, in his address, assured the nation that his government would ensure that CLECO will be recapitalized in order to compensate those affected.
I want these workers to know
that they have the sympathy of Prime Minister Mitchell and our government. Government has been in touch with the government board on this promise to recapitalize CLICO and pay these workers their pension.
The collapse of CLICO Bico Investments has left the Trinidad-based companies in billions of dollars of debt, and many policyholders, especially in the OECS member territories, feeling the effects. The Bico and CLICO policyholder group of Grenada, BACON, has since acquired the legal services of solicitors to carry on the legal battle on behalf of policyholders.
Still to come in Caribbean Newsline, former Guyana President Donald Ramota stands by his ex-Attorney General in a controversy over law books. Stay with us. There's more news after the break.
Follow your heart to the 21st edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from the 22nd to the 24th of June, featuring Shabaranks, Ultimate Rejects, The Boozman, Mobado, Jack Pure, DJ Private Riot, and back together again, Square One. Also performing Third Word, Voice, King Mighty Chalk Dust, Credence Clearwater Revisited, Ed Robinson, Ricardo Drew, Teddyson John, Felicia Ross, Brianna D, Lyrical, and Goo Goo Dolls. For more information, log on to www.stkitsmusicfestival.net.
Ready.
It's another episode when we out on the road. This is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road. Drink, drink, drink. King Baba and Nikita. Every fact that I go, you keep on calling me wrong name. But that's okay, cause that's my babe. I don't understand how we're in the name tag on me. Don't know what to say, you still calling me wrong name. Don't get vexed with me. Don't say that.
Welcome back. Former Guyana President Donald Ramota is standing by his former Attorney General Anil Landal in that's the saga surrounding him taking law books from his ministry when he left office. Ramota says there was nothing illegal about what transpired and calls the charge filed against Landal vindictive. We get more in this report from Royden James of HGP Nightly News.
Mr. Nandlal has long argued that ownership of the law books were part of the terms of his appointment to the Attorney General post, which he took up on December 5, 2011, during the tenure of the Ramota administration. However, the former Attorney General was pulled before the courts and charged last week for stealing the Commonwealth law books. President Donald Ramota, who says he gifted the books to Mr. Nandlal, is standing by his former AG.
Nandlal represented the issue correctly. It was part of his condition of employment. Like every minister in the government, they have a certain budget to make contribution to periodicals that can help them with the work. And those periodicals are not kept in the ministries. I'm sure if you go, you wouldn't find them there.
Mr. Ramota posited that it is nothing new for ministers to request additional incentives. He said it happened in the past, and it is happening now in the coalition.
Look, they gave scholarships to two of their ministers. What kind of thing is that? A ministerial work is a 24-hour job. It's not a job, part-time job. We have no part-time ministers in the government.
President Ramota is citing spitefulness as the motivating factor behind the law books saga.
So you don't see any illegality whatsoever?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. I think this is a sign of vindictiveness, a sign of desperation on a regime that is losing popularity rapidly because of their social and economic policies.
In one of his missives, Nandlal said, I quote, The PPP is a party whose leaders see arrest and imprisonment as part of our struggle. Many of my political forebearers, including Dr. Chadi Jagan, have traveled this road. I am prepared to follow suit.
Popular messaging app WhatsApp went down on Wednesday evening in what was believed to be an worldwide scale, leaving millions of users without connection. People from several countries took to social media to flag the problem. Later in the evening, it was back up, much to the relief of users. WhatsApp has more than 1 billion users and is widely used across the world for group chats and as a replacement for SMS. The African, Caribbean and Pacific Council of Ministers began a meeting in Brussels on Wednesday with a call on the 79-member grouping to meet their financial obligations. Guyanese-born ACP Secretary General Dr. Patrick Gomes, addressing the 105th Council session, said a prerequisite to the continued well-being of the ACP group in general and the Secretariat in particular is to better serve all stakeholders.
I would therefore like to appeal to Member States to continue your great efforts towards the timely payment of statutory obligations in order to improve our self-reliance and the smooth functioning of the Secretariat. This is all the more important as the Committee of Ambassadors and the Secretariat intensify our outreach activities in the second half of this year, subject to the guidance of Council in preparation for the negotiations on a post-2020 ACP-EU agreement.
Gomes told the Council that voluntary contributions outside of the statutory obligations would also be welcomed as the ACP group worked towards an endowment and trust fund.
Beyond all those necessary elements of finance, strategic planning and improved working relations, today more than ever has to be steadfast in our commitment by our political leadership. By your presence and the great effort you have made to attend this important session of Council, your resolve to make the ACP a great institution is truly admirable.
There are mounting concerns in Martinique over the growing popularity of the National Front of Marine Le Pen in the French presidential elections. Some believe that the growth of the National Front in the French overseas territory is a consequence of agricultural workers coming from neighboring islands. We get more in this report from our partners at France Caraïbes Broadcast.
What will you do on May 6 and 7 for the second round? You're off topic. Off topic, Tuesday afternoon, the question of the second round of French presidential election was out of the question for Alfred Marie-Jeanne, at least until the evening. At 9 p.m., this communique from the president of the Martinique Territorial Collectivity reaches journalists. The results of the first round of the French presidential elections broke the National Front to the second round. You know my long-standing commitment to tirelessly fighting against hatred, racism and xenophobia, which the Le Pen family has singularly spread. I therefore solemnly call the Martinicans to bar the road to Marine Le Pen. Unprecedented statement for the leader of the independent movement of Martinique. This choice is a historic first in terms of the traditional posture of independence politicians compared to presidential elections. It's a controversial story, but the traditional guideline is we don't participate in the presidential election.
On ne participe pas à l'élection présidentielle.
In Rivière-Pilote, the stronghold of the party, there was very little vote in the first round. The rate of abstention rose to 75%, the second of Martinique. Are you used to voting in the presidential elections? We must vote, we must vote. I'm not too political, but I vote because it's my right. I don't think it's a matter of independentist or not, maybe when it comes to the cantonal, but vote for the presidential, I want to vote, but not as much as the cantonal. Will Alfred Marie-Jeanne's communique bring the voters before the ballot boxes in the second round? For our analysts, the historical character of the position should bear fruits. The slogan of the MIM, Movement Independentist of Martinique, has an impact not only on Rivière Pilote, but not on Rivière Pilote, because it's still the president of the executive of the territorial collectivity who takes a strong position that is salutary and positions Alfred Marie-Jeanne very clearly as a strong political leader in relation to a historical moment in the history of France, because beyond Martinique history, it's nevertheless, as I say, an historical moment of history from France.
Well, we thank our partners at France Carré Broadcast, and we encourage you to join us weekly for news from the French West Indies. And ahead in Newsline Sport, West Indies banking on their lower order batsmen to put pressure on Pakistan on the final day of the second test at the Kensington Oval. Stay with us. Sport is next.
To the 21st edition of the St. Kitts Music Festival from the 22nd to the 24th of June, featuring Shabaranks, Ultimate Rejects, The Boozman, Mobado, Jack Pure, DJ Private Riot, and back together again, Square One. Also performing Third Word, Voice, King Mighty Chalk Dust, Credence Clearwater Revisited, Ed Robinson, Ricardo Drew, Tedison John, Felicia Ross, Brianna D, Lyrical, and Goo Goo Dolls. For more information, log on to www.stkitsmusicfestival.net.
Ready. It's another episode when we out on the road. This is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate. This is not Hollywood. No, we don't come out the road. Drink, drink, drink. King Baba and the guitar. Every fat dollar boy keep on calling me wrong name, but that's okay, 'cause that's my babe.
West Indies will be banking on their lower order batsmen to extend their lead past 200 in order to put pressure on Pakistan on the final day of the second test at the Kensington Oval. The Caribbean men closed day 4 on 264 for 9 in their second innings. Barbadian Shea Hope and Vishal Singh put on an 80-run partnership to put the Windies in the driver's seat. Hope stroked a masterful 90 while Singh added 32, but it was Yashir Shah who changed the game in Pakistan's favour after he picked up 6 wickets. Let's take a look at the final session of day 4 of the second test.
Shadab Khan was introduced and he wasn't on song every now and then, being hit for a few because no shot was offered. Pakistan thought they had a strong case, took a review, it was turned down. Then the second new ball was taken. They were expecting good result from the second new ball. It swung, that ball falling short of Yunus Khan in the second slip. Darish also struggled, then Yasir Shah, sorry, it was Hope who struggled, and then Hope from nowhere produced a lofted drive and was out caught, and then off the very next ball in the next over, it was Vishal Singh who was bowled, castled. And then things started to happen. Yasir Shah got the better of the skipper. Stunning effort by Yunus Khan in the slips, moving to his left and caught a beauty. And then this attempt was made by Ahmed Shahzad. Good effort. Couldn't get around that one. He's not carrying to the slips. Then it was Darish who scooped one up in the air. Ball was caught by Asad Shafiq. Zari Joseph with a beautiful straight drive, and off the very next ball, hitting a full toss to Muhammad Amir, who took a good catch, giving Yasser Shah his 6th wicket.
Barbados women's cricket team returned home satisfied with their performance in the regional Super 50 despite losing the final to Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago defeated Barbados by 21 runs on Sunday in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to successfully defend their title. Captain Shakira Selman commended the women for an outstanding performance.
It was a pretty good tournament. We won all the games coming up to the finals, and then
we wanted it to be a clean sweep. We won 5 out of 6 games, so I think that's very commendable. We took away all of the individual awards, not the most important trophy, but we got all the individual awards, which means that there were positives from the tournament. We just need to work hard in the final. I thought we played some very good cricket. Unfortunately, we messed up for the last hurdle, and that was the most important hurdle. Most of the girls have been playing together for a while. We get along well. It's the first time with the 2 coaches, but we got along really well with them. I must commend them for the work that they did with the girls. First time they've worked with the girls team, and it was really good.
Barbados women's assistant coach and former West Indies fast bowler Pedro Collins also credited the team for a job well done, even as he gave his own assessment of Barbados during the tournament.
It was a pretty good tournament. We won all the games coming up to the finals, and then we fell short. I thought that the girls played good cricket throughout the whole tournament, and it's something that they have to look back on. I think that we just fall a little bit short in our fielding, and our bowling let us down. Also, I think a few batters, the main batters, if they had stepped up in this final, we could probably won, but it didn't went our way. Congratulations to the Trinidad team. You know, they played good cricket on that day, and they came out victorious.
And finally, host Bahamas has bowed out of the Beach Soccer World Cup despite a 4-1 victory against Ecuador. It was the team's only win since the tournament began last month. Jonathan Benson of ZNS Network News has more in this report.
Up against Ecuador, it took more than a period and a half, but Jean-Francois finally put the home side up with a terrific strike. Still in the second period, Leslie St. Fleur would get free, and he knows how to finish. The Bahamas goes up 2-0 heading to the third. With over 7 minutes to play, Ecuador would pull one of the goals back. But 2 minutes after that, the Bahamas got a chance to get the goal back as Captain Gavin Christie was fouled. Christie would miss the penalty, but spirits were still high on the home side, and with over 3 minutes to play, Francois connected on his second goal of the night, giving the keeper no chance.
And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Caribbean Newsline is brought to you by the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc.
It's not about exercising. It's having the strength to do what you're passionate about. It's not about the road traveled. It's about the one to be traveled. An important thing in life is finding the perfect balance between body and soul. With a bottle of Ensure, you get the proteins, calcium, and 26 vitamins and minerals your body needs to live the best moments of your life with strength and energy. Your life, your health, your Ensure.
Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching and do have yourselves a good night.